Report is underway. We have Sherrod, Bobby, and Josue at the Garden. Some technical difficulties from the TD Garden kind of slowed our roll a little bit, but we're here now, and we're here to talk Celtics Sixers. And I don't know, man. Win of the year, maybe, given the circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, look, Celtics fans, let's keep it 100. They've been somewhat spoiled this year. The team's been number one all year long, so I think this would easily be the most impressive win, even though it isn't as pretty as people imagined it, I guess, going into it.
Yeah, but I mean, forget pretty, forget anything. I mean, obviously everybody who watched understands what happened here. It's oops, sorry. We got another glitch here. I mean, you know what happened. Smart didn't play. Rob didn't. I mean, you get Smart's not playing. You get the word that Rob and Horford are out. You're like, gee, what are we doing here? Griffin starts. He friggin' buries 3 threes in the first quarter. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, told you, man. Unleash Blake. That's what's been. This has been long overdue.
Unreal. And then Jalen, I broke his face. I don't know. I mean, the Jaylen Brown mystery, which we'll get into in a little bit here.
Collided with Tatum too, and it felt like it was one of those like I'm so pissed right now. Not at Tatum, but he was just like, just leave me alone.
He was pissed. I've never seen anyone care less about anything than Tatum seemed to care about Brown being on the ground. But that's neither here nor there.
See, I was gonna allude to that at some point. I was gonna bring that up, but let's not go down that road. Let's keep it positive here.
That's not what tonight is about.
Right.
That's not what tonight is about. You come out in the second half and you don't have 4 regular starters. Jason Tatum can't buy a bucket. Philly's literally triple teaming him. They're throwing so many bodies at him. He's got nowhere to go. Whatever open looks he had, he wasn't able to hit. He's getting into the, even when he's getting into the lane, there's people everywhere. He's off balance floaters. Just one of those games where he just couldn't find a rhythm. Made a couple great moves to get all the way to the cup, but for the most part, they bottled him up. Jason Tatum's got 10 points midway through the fourth quarter. They had an 11-point lead, with 5.5, it's like 5.5 minutes to play, 11-point lead. Philly goes on an 8-0 run, cuts it to 3, and then bang, 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 Hauser, whatever have you. And that's it. A just incredible game here. You got a big Derek White game, on both ends of the court. You got a good Sam Hauser game, a second straight where he's hitting shots. He buried all of his threes tonight, 4 for 4 from 3, 14 points. Yeah, Brogdon does great off the bench and really more of a starter role in the second half. He played a ton of minutes, 35 minutes on the game for him. Grant goes 39 minutes. He makes 4 of 6 threes. This is another, I hate saying make miss league sort of thing, but they made 55% of their threes. That wins you games. They needed literally every single one of those to beat this team. But I mean, imagine right now, Josue, you're Philly and you're like, oh, like we lost this one, huh?
Yeah. I mean, look, for Celtics fans of a certain age, the we didn't deserve to win this game speech from Doc Rivers, right? And he gave that speech just a few minutes ago in a way that I haven't seen him do a lot this season. I mean, I think these guys are looking forward to this game. No, injuries or not, they wanted to make a statement here in Boston. Doc talked about how they lost to the Celtics earlier this season. They want to prove to themselves that they can be one of, if not the best team in the East as well. And they just didn't show up in this one. I feel like the Celtics just really, bullied them, whether it was from the 50-50 balls or how many times they left guys wide open and they made them pay. The 76ers never really changed their approach on defense. And then out comes Blake after halftime, boom, another 3, another one. Like, okay, we can do this again if you want to, Philly. And then they did. And then Derek White got hot as well, man. What a performance from Derek, because it's another thing when he's hitting a couple of open shots, which is what he typically gets against opposing defenses, being that member of the starting lineup. So he cashes in on those. So you like to see that happen because it doesn't happen all the time. But for him to drive to the rim, for easy layups, for him to come up with huge stops. I mean, those 2 blocks from behind. I mean, look, the last one on Tobias Harris, man. I mean, like that just crushes you, especially when you're on the road. The crowd is really into it, and you're facing a 2-possession game at that point, which was
man,
10
Tobias
points,
Harris.
but they got it down to 3, and they couldn't do anything with it because the Celtics wouldn't let up. It was an impressive win. It was impressive when everyone was involved.
Impressive win, and on top of that, and again, Tobias Harris blows, man. Like, you got to be so bummed,
Yeah, he
with him
does.
with Philly.
Yeah.
He just doesn't do anything. But on top of that, just what they did to Embiid, and how they bottled him up was incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're throwing Grant and Blake and Cornet, who was great at him. All game long, and trying to disrupt his rhythm and what he's doing, and they
And he
really
didn't
knocked him
take
off.
17 free throws like he usually does, or at least it feels that way every time he plays the Celtics. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they kind of kept him at bay, kept him from going off, kept him from getting to the line too many times. He's still getting every favorable call and late calls, and one on Grant that made me want to throw something through my TV set. But
Yeah, that was a
seven
bad
free.
Yeah.
I mean, he got a couple of gimmies and he only ended up with 7 free throw attempts. So they did a really good job playing him pretty straight up, and making it so he couldn't whatever. I mean, he still got 21 shots up when all was said and done, but for the most part, that's a pretty good job on him. Philly really didn't get much from anybody else outside of their big two, and that was it. I mean, this, like I said, is if you're Sixers Twitter right now, you're ready to jump off something. You got to be pretty.
Do you think that they're that upset? I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked that they're thinking that this is just like one of those games where, Blake's never going to shoot like that again. Derek's never going to shoot like that again. But I'm with you. I
They
mean,
would, but it's not a 7-game series. That's the problem. Is like, yeah, you can
Yeah.
easily write it off. It's not like Golden State game 1 of the finals would be like, yeah, I dare those guys
Right.
to hit it.
where everyone
It's
just went
just
off and Draymond's reading off the box score. Right.
It's still like, oh man, like, this is bad. I do want to say we're having another couple other technical issues. Our chat isn't loaded. We're not seeing a lot of your comments right now. I apologize. We're hoping to get that back as the show
I blame
goes on.
Twitter. What's going on tonight? Tonight's a weird night, John.
I think
don't know what's going
the
on.
Twitter filtered down and infected everything tonight. So it's a weird vibes night in terms of technology. I think global technology took a hit tonight. Anyway, so we're hoping that gets fixed, and we're not ignoring you guys. I promise we will get your chats up there for all of you guys calling me an idiot. I know you think I'm an idiot, and I'm sure I'll be able to post some of those eventually as
All
well.
Celtics takes aside.
Yeah, we're gonna bring in Sherrod Blakely, who had to relocate, and
next to the technicians, I guess.
What a day! What a day! What a day!
Yeah, play something from the soundboard. Come on, put some on.
Oh yeah, please.
We're good, Josue. Just I'm having Brockton Wi-Fi issue over here.
Oh, that took 8 minutes.
Yes. What a game!
Yeah,
what a game!
Hey, you guys talk for a minute. I'm gonna go try to fix my technical issue with the stream, but you guys are good. Hang in there. I'll be right back. You guys do your thing.
What you got for me, Sherrod? It's the Sherrod and Josue show. This never happens. What's going on?
This never happens. There's clearly things are not going quite as planned. No, this was a really good game. I like this game for a lot of reasons. One of my biggest reasons is that you beat a good team and you didn't have top 5, top 25 Tatum out there. I didn't think he was very good at all. I mean, he flirted with a triple double there, but he had the big shot late in the fourth. But for the most part, this wasn't a really good Jason Tatum game. You got big games from Derek White. You got Malcolm Brogdon giving you something off the bench, and it did this not only where you didn't get a great Tatum. You were missing Jaylen Brown for 2+ quarters. No Al, no Rob. You had Blake Griffin looking like 2017 Blake Griffin with the Clippers. And
that's true.
You found a way to beat a team that was playing some pretty good basketball. I'd say the last month or so. So this was a good win. This was a really good win.
It's a good indication of that too, especially when we're talking about effort. A team just looking like they just wanted it way more than the other. The rebounding, man, no Rob, no Al, and you still win the rebounding by a +10. And look, before you hopped on, I don't know if you heard me, but I was telling John how Doc gave the media the old "we shouldn't have won this game" speech. I remember those from his days here in Boston.
I've heard a few of those.
Yeah, right. You've heard a few. You sat in through a couple of those. I mean, how much of it is that though? Like when you look at what happened, especially in that fourth quarter. I mean, Philly got it down to 3, and the Celtics got their lead right back up right before things really mattered in those last couple of minutes.
Yeah, I just the Celtics they played harder longer. I mean, that's really what this came down to. I thought Philly did a lot of good things, especially coming out the gate with that 7-0 run to start. But Boston just played with a more focus, more intensity, more effort, more grit for longer stretches, and that's why they got the win. And to me, this is the way that when you talk about the postseason, you talk about figuring out ways to win ugly or win in ways that aren't necessarily indicative of who you are. These are the kind of games you got to have to play. You're going to have to find a way to do it. And again, I don't know how much you guys talked about Blake Griffin, but man, was that a Back to the Future moment for him tonight. And the thing about it, and I don't know how much they talked about this in their prep, but Joel Embiid historically does not like to come out and guard bigs. If you are in a flow, he's going to let you get 3 or 4 wide open shots off before he just decides to make any attempt to guard you. And I give Blake credit. They came right out the gate and took advantage of that. He made the first 2 baskets for the Celtics, scored their first 6 points, 9 of their first 11. And again, Philadelphia, you didn't even play the full brunt of the Celtics. And they pretty much, other than the first 3 or 4 minutes, they pretty much had this game, going at a pace and a rhythm that they wanted to, as opposed to what you were looking to do. But I do love those "we should have won the game" speeches from Doc. I love them.
And he had a smile on his face while he did it. He just loves the city. He can't even stay mad after a loss. But yeah, I mean, no. It just reminded me of those days of watching his press conferences and saying hey, listen, we shouldn't have won this game. We don't deserve to win this game. It was just oh yeah, I remember that. You know what? That applies. You got that, dog. Because again, whether you want to talk about the effort, guys going out to guard the 3-point arc, or just overall on defense, they never made adjustments. And Doc obviously pointed that out.
Someone else pointed that out. I will bring that to you in a little bit. That is an interesting little nugget. But yeah, I mean, crazy game. One of the funny things you talk about is you can point at almost every person tonight who played, who made a contribution, except for maybe Pritchard in his limited minutes. But almost everybody who did get in there did something of value. But it also is. It's just, this is what you have to do when you're down this many players is you got to stay with the program. You got to keep passing the ball. You can't start going ISO because you just don't have those players out there. It almost forces you to play team ball and have a team effort because there's no other way that you can succeed. I mean, you could give the ball to Tatum, and if the defense was playing him differently and let him shoot 40 times, I guess, in a game like this, but that wasn't happening. Philly made sure that didn't happen. So the Celtics had to get everybody else involved, and they did. And those are always fun because it's oh crap, you're open here, and you hit it all right, yay, you're really psyched for one another. And that's kind of what this game was for these guys. A great moment when I forget who it was. Might have been White standing next to Hauser in the corner. Hauser kind of relocated there, took his spot. He just shovels it to him. He hits it. The bench gets up. Stuff like that was really great. Everyone kind of when they needed to step up to make a play did, which was really great. When they needed a board, they got it. When they needed a good defensive stop, they got it. Just kind of happened all game long. There's so many individual moments from so many different players. It's really a game that you can feel pretty proud of, both as a fan and certainly as a coach, sitting and watching this one. Man, this we manned up tonight.
Yeah. The effort and the multiple contributions. That's what you want. I mean, you obviously you want to win the game, but even if the Celtics would have wound up losing this game, the way they played was exactly how you're going to win. You're going to win more games than not when you play like this. When everyone is contributing, as you pointed out, Sam Hauser, big shots, Blake, big shots, Derek White, big shots and big defensive plays. I mean, he had some, top 10-esque blocks there. And again, he's arguably the best shot blocking guard in the NBA. And we saw that on display tonight.
I even said something nice about him on Twitter, but I'm not going to repeat it because I don't want
that shit was
shut
funny.
up. I don't want the Derek White stands out there to get big heads.
I almost retweeted
I'm sure the chat has probably said apology cam 85,000 times, but I can't see the chat. Sorry, guys. Anyway,
you know what though, John? The moment you do that though, he's gonna go 1 for 12 the next game. So don't even do it. Don't
it's like the Grant $20 million game. he has it. Everyone starts saying, "See, that's why he has $20 million." Then he plays like ass for like 8 games, and everyone stops saying it.
Right,
You know,
right.
so it's like those. So
that's always been it with White. Let's keep it 100. I mean, consistency. That's always been the case with him. If he's consistent with it, no more slander on this show for sure. Well, at least from John, because we don't really give him a whole lot of slander besides John. But
yeah, I mean, again,
I'm a Derek White guy. I am. I've been from day one. Just because I just think you need guys who are high level wild card factors, guys that they're not great players per se, but there's certain nights and certain situations where they can potentially be the best player on the floor for you. And I think he has that in him every now and then to be that guy. Like
Here's
I thought
yeah.
Go ahead, John.
No,
you got it.
You finish.
I was just going to say that this was one of those nights where when you look at why they won this game, his ability to play at a high level at both ends of the floor was a big reason for that.
And so for me, what I finally realized I like most about Derek White is once you kind of come to grips with, his limitations. He's not a lights out shooter, and he's going to have nights where he doesn't shoot really well. He's not an exceptional athlete. So, he's not like he's just going to do, blow by you or have these big games. You don't expect him to be like a high volume scorer either, but every once in a while he can, he can fill it up. But of all the players on the team, I think he's the one guy who almost always does the right thing in almost every situation. He's always you never have a game where you're like, what's Derek doing? Usually his bad games are just he's not hitting shots games. Or just simply, he gets beat a couple times on defense or whatever it is. That happens. But that's more like physical. In terms of his approach, he always does the right thing, makes the smart play, takes the shot when it's there, and sometimes it goes in, sometimes it doesn't. Always the effort on defense, always smart when he gambles or when he kind of hedges or when he waits. And, just the way that he plays defense and the way that he plays both individually and team defense, almost everything he does, I think is the right thing. So like you have to applaud that to an extent. And that's kind of what I like, because you see other people kind of fall out of their patterns and their rhythms. You see Tatum force sometimes. You see Jalen get his tunnel vision. Marcus, kind of has his moments. Brogdon sometimes too. All of them. They kind of lapse in and out. White almost never does. He's almost always kind of doing the right thing. And so then you have the games where the ball's going in the net for him too, and it's like, all right, there you go. Because
I feel like a lot of it is instinctual. Right, like he just knows.
He's got great basketball instincts.
Right. It's just that when the shot's not falling, or if he can't find an offensive rhythm, that's when you have nights where John's like, "Who is this guy?" You know what I mean? It's like which guy?
Sometimes he's invisible.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's what happens though, right? When he can't get those shots to fall, and he'll just sort of let the other guys get going. But
he can get in his head a tad sometimes with their
yeah, for sure. But I don't think it's one of those like you mentioned Marcus. I feel like with Marcus, it kind of happens in that order. Like you said, it's like, okay, well, the Jays don't got it. I got to step up here and take a lot more shots. I don't think Derek never falls into that trap. Even if he has it going, like he can make 6 in a row. He's not gonna, try to take matters to his own hands. He's just always gonna try to blend in with the flow of the offense.
Totally.
Yeah, because remember there was a point when shortly after he arrived, and really even into this season, they had to go out of their way to encourage him to take shots. Right. He wasn't passing the ball. He was just passing up great looks. And to put in the kind of time that he did to improve his shot, to not take it, you're doing more of a disservice to the team by doing that. And I think it finally dawned on him that, if guys are going to leave me open, I got to wet that rim. I got to make that shot. I got to absolutely make teams pay for letting me just be out here on this island all unto myself. I don't know. Have you guys talked much about Bobby's BFF, Mr. Luke Cornet?
No, not yet. We say that for him.
I mentioned
we can save that for later. This is the thing, and we can obviously come back to this later. But Luke's athleticism is kind of underrated. Some of these above the rim finishes, these are not normal dunks.
That's coordinated.
He's just tall, Sherrod. That's what that is.
Well, No, it's not that he's just tall. He's
No,
tall and
no.
coordinated. He actually because typically when guys just have that tremendous growth spurt, there's this awkward phase. Luke looks really comfortable playing above the rim, which I
It's
pretended
deceiving
not to see
comfortable.
that like the
Yeah.
last month.
It's deceiving.
But anyway,
Opposing teams
I
aren't
don't
ready
I don't
for
want to
that.
say much. I don't want to say much about Luke because I don't want to steal Bobby's thunder. So we're gonna. I just want to throw
But
it
he
out
played a
there
good
and keep
game.
it moving.
This could have been
Yeah,
a
He
nightmare
did.
matchup. One of the things I think about Cornet is, despite his height, I don't think he challenges bigs very much. I think he's pretty good at blocking kind of shorter guys.
He did tonight.
But tonight he did. Tonight he was in there. And tonight he mixed it up. So I thought he showed something in that regard. He's and as you said, that stuff is athletic. That takes coordination, timing. That's not some of the stuff that he's done on those catches is hard to do, and you don't see. It's not natural for some people. So it is for him. You're right. He's comfortable being tall.
And again that's something that you can't really say that about a lot of guys in this league.
Yeah.
I mean, he's catching lobs back to the basket, throwing it down. That's not normal.
So the problem is going to happen when Bobby jumps on here is naturally the natural conversation before this game began when Horford and Williams went out was what?
What are they going to do in the middle?
Yeah, but
Embiid might have 40 at halftime.
But even
Who's
long
guarding
term,
Embiid? Right.
even long term, immediately everyone's like, they got to trade for bigs. Like you can't have this. You can't have these guys both going out. Horford's old. Rob's hurt all the time. I felt like there was a sense of panic that went in when people saw the injury report prior to this game of like the reality that like, yes, one guy's an old man and the other guy's hurt 50% of his life. Like that's not tenable. And I think a lot of people are immediately Pirtle. We got to go get some. And there's a bunch of reports around that today, and the trade deadline is tomorrow. So we're going to talk about that for sure. I also want to talk about one of the strangest Joe Mazzulla answers we've had in a little bit. I'm going to play that for you just when we get back. But first, tell you about one of our sponsors here at the Garden Report. Josue friggin' taking to Instagram to show you his HelloFresh recipes. This guy is cooking.
I've been chefing it up, man. So you guys think I'm joking? Check out my IG, guys. Everyone watching right now. Yeah,
chefing it up.
Chef Josue RD. Okay.
Why don't you tell Josue? Why don't you tell us what you made?
So this is what I love about HelloFresh too. Because you can mix it up. You don't have to stick to just the protein diet or vegetarian diet or whichever you want. I'm more of a pescatarian protein type of guy. So I got the salmon, I got the burgers, and I got a shrimp scampi, lemon shrimp scampi. It was incredible. Listen, I mean, the ingredients, they're sending you stuff that you wouldn't buy in the grocery store. Trust me. And it's good. It's delicious, easy to make. All of those took me less than an hour, especially a couple of them took close to 35 minutes. And it was great. It's my ideal balance right there, I guess. But that's just me. Again, there's a little bit of everything for everyone in there. But those are my favorite. Those three. And I can't wait for the next batch, for the next box. Yes, there it is. Oh, that was the chicken, actually.
Okay.
I forgot about the chicken too. Oh man. The
dude,
crusted chicken.
I made
Bobby does shot charts.
That's pretty good.
Bobby does shot charts. I do Josue's cooking on the share screen. Okay.
Homemade dressing. Look at that salad, delicious. They go right next to your crusted chicken.
Bobby, look at this and salivate some.
I love it. That's what I need right now.
Yeah, the shrimp scampi and the salmon, man. Oh, the salmon was incredible.
Believe it or not, salmon.
Real quick, let me tell people about the offer and then we'll move on. You see it on the screen, hellofresh.com/garden65. If you use the code garden65, you get 65% off plus free shipping, which is a really good deal. We're talking 65% off your entire purchase. So you buy a meal kit, they send it to you. If you don't know what it's all about right now, it's basically farm fresh ingredients, restaurant quality meals with a menu card. You can customize it, switch your proteins in and out, your veg, whatever you want. As Josue said, just pick the type of food you want to eat, and they'll send you really cool stuff. If you're tired of literally making the same piece of grilled salmon every day,
every week.
They'll help you kind of style it up and do something that's good in a well-rounded meal. You want to eat healthy to start the new year. It gives you that option too. So again, check it out. HelloFresh.com /Garden65. Use that code Garden65. For 65% off plus free shipping for America's #1 meal kit. It's America's #1 meal kit for a reason. So please check it out. Support our sponsors. We do appreciate it when you do. And if you do order, let us know about it. Fill out a form. I believe it's here in the show description. If not, someone will drop it in there for you into the chat, and you will get a free phenomenal t-shirt out of the deal. So, Bobby, to catch you up, we talked about the great team win. We did talk a little bit about Luke, but not too much. We talked about how Luke's Allen Rob's offense, absence. Allen Rob's absence kind of freaked.
I thought you were about to say Allen Robinson.
Kind of freaked a bunch of people out who were really, really concerned and thought, you know what, we got to go get ourselves a big now. And then Luke steps up and has himself a big game. I also wanted to talk about, I don't know what kind of intel you got. Who was listening to Joe today?
I did not catch Joe, but I heard what he said.
Okay. About Jaylen?
Yeah, I guess he left.
So let's play that. So Jaylen Brown, this was a strange one. We don't know what happened here. I find it. I don't know.
Oh, we actually have an update from Shams Tarania. Jaylen Brown has suffered a facial fracture and will miss some time.
That was the fear.
He'll likely be sidelined through the All-Star break with further examination coming tomorrow.
So that's where I was going with it. It made no sense that he would leave the game with a facial contusion unless they feared that he suffered a fracture. And that was my concern there because Joe was insanely vague. And now I'm not going to play the soundbite because it doesn't really matter. But he couldn't reach him. He didn't know where it was. He said he called him. He didn't pick up. And we'll put
it's still weird though, John. It's still a little weird.
We'll put it was weird regardless. But we'll put this update on the screen here. But no longer a facial contusion, now reported a facial fracture. That's kind of where I was going, guys. It made no sense to me that he would have left without a concussion or without anything. Obviously, Mazzulla kind of tipped his hand because he's like, I tried to call him, I don't know, which means he left, and he was asked that follow-up question. I'll play it anyway. This is what Joe had said.
I don't. I haven't got an update yet. I called him, he didn't answer, but I'll get that, ASAP. I hope he's okay.
You said he called Jaylen, right? Did he have to go off site to get medical care, or what was it?
I'm not sure. As soon as I got to my office, I just called him. I didn't see him where he was.
So
not good.
That was it. Obviously, he was off site. Obviously, whatever. There was tests being done, and now, as it turns out, it is a facial fracture, reported by Shams, as you mentioned.
Nasty collision. Didn't look good right away.
Yeah. And Tatum seemed really concerned.
What's up with that, Bobby? What do you think about that? We spoke about it briefly, John and I, but Jesus,
I bet you regretted it.
Like each other, but it's just
I know, but holy my God, bend down at least.
Yeah, he just looked at him and just
he's like,
he complained about a call.
I don't know. It's weird.
There's something missing up there.
Weird stuff.
I'm
still waiting to see a handshake.
If I hit anybody in the face,
I haven't seen it all year long between those two.
It's almost instinctual. You bend right over.
Oh my God!
What I do?
Dude, I was in the
even if it's an
store,
play from the opposing team.
I was at Market Basket and a second line opened up and I went to sprint my cart there and I bumped a lady in the arm and I stopped. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. He literally just broke his teammate's face and he didn't do anything. It's so weird, man.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know, man. That dynamic is weird between those two, man. I never call it
weird, man.
They dislike each other. I wouldn't go that far, but it's weird. They have a weird dynamic.
So weird. But anyway, that's not good. We don't know.
You know how everyone has a handshake coming. I'd never see those guys clap hands.
I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Oh,
I bet he regretted it immediately. It was weird, but I don't know. Maybe he didn't notice. He hit his arm.
It was
That was
bad.
his arm, right?
Yeah. It was bad, yeah. Jalen ran right off. And you're thin now. I mean, Rob injured that ankle against Detroit. Didn't look good. They'll probably be cautious with that. I have no clue what happened with Al. No real indication he was hurt. And Joe didn't say much about that pregame either. But what a performance for the depth tonight. Super important for them going into the All-Star break when you're weighing into the trade deadline, when you're weighing all the different things you can do with this team. Not to say a big night from that group makes you say, all right, we're good, stand pat. But Hauser showed he can still do some stuff offensively. Just huge to get 2 big games from him. Cornet, again, everyone panics central when Cornet has to play extra minutes tonight. But he was phenomenal. I thought he was great. What a play, alley-oop with Derek White. Just real instinctual with 0.5 on the clock. A super important basket late in this game. I actually talked to him about it. He said it just kind of came together on the fly there after the timeout. Great defense, I thought, even when drawn onto the perimeter. I know John didn't like the double Cornet contest. Not a great
Cornet
moment, but overall,
that was his worst moment of the season.
Yeah. You know what, John? You're right, because if you have enough time to do that twice, as you pointed out, you got enough time to go and
Get out to
guard
the shooter.
If
you can jump twice, get out there.
But let's just all say it together. He should be part of the Celtics going forward. Even if you go get another big, Luke Cornet is useful for this team. He can play in the playoffs in a limited role.
So if they get Jakob Poeltl and Horford and Rob are healthy, you're telling me we've got to find Luke Cornet minutes.
Keep him around. There's no damn John. When they got Moses Brown, you're like, you gotta keep him. The contract, it's incredible. You have Luke on the same contract, who's 10 times better.
I'm taking the L on Mo Brown, but I'm taking Sherrod with me.
Yes, I'm with you. The dude, Bobby, the dude had damn near 20 rebounds in damn near the first half.
Yeah, it's Moses.
That doesn't happen.
Yeah, he went off.
Yeah, Moses. But clearly, that was the best game he would ever play in his life. Clearly.
But
you got
to. But Sherrod, you provided the proper context there why John was going nuts about it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but Bobby, we actually gave Luke a good deal of credit.
Gave him his flowers.
Yes, I talked about how his athleticism is on a level that is probably better than we thought it would be. Be able to coordinate himself above the rim, catch alley-oops and stuff like that with his back to the basket. That's impressive.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
It catches defenses off guard, I think, for sure. They're not hip. You know, they don't know that. You know, I'm sure they know about the Cornet contest, but when he's doing stuff like that on offense, I think it throws them off, especially when guys like Jalen and Tatum are lobbing it to him, right? You know, I think Philly just wasn't ready for that.
I do have to say, Joel walking away going,
yeah, what was up with that?
That was so funny.
He thought he could get into his head.
He got asked about it.
It was.
He got asked about it. Joel did after the game, and he was like, "Well, we lost." He didn't comment on it.
People find it so ridiculous. They literally don't want to talk about it. Everybody outside of the Celtics who's been asked, they're like, "Yeah, I don't know. We just kind of we don't really know."
That was so. Yeah. He was like, "This guy stinks." Only Joel, man. Even Luke. I asked Luke about it. He was like, "I just laughed. That was funny."
Yeah.
But what a performance! Stepping in, tough spot, guys out, and Luke Blake right in. They don't win this game without those Blake threes. Incredible stuff from Blake tonight too.
Speaking of Blake threes, anybody in there talking to Blake?
Blake talked, and
all right, I'm gonna give you a little soundbite from Blake. I was gonna, Bobby, did you see this? Some shots fired from Blake here.
No, I caught the very end.
Okay, shots fired from Blake Griffin here. Aimed at the guy over there on the other side.
Well, he was motivated.
Let's get into that. Let's get when we get back. Right, we'll talk more about that.
This is pretty good.
And do you feel like maybe a little disrespect to just kind of leave you open like that? You know, as a guy can shoot 3-pointers like that.
I don't really take it as disrespect. It hurt him. That was their game plan. Obviously, you know, Doc makes that game plan. They didn't adjust, which has been sort of a thing. No disrespect, though.
No disrespect. Why is it people are about to disrespect you when they tell you no disrespect?
You can't
that's what everyone
insult
looks up.
somebody and say
As soon
no
as you say
disrespect.
no disrespect, everyone looks up like, oh, what you got?
Yeah.
Well, I think people forget that,
Blake keeps it real.
Blake played. Yeah, well, remember, Blake, when he was with the Clippers, had just signed that fat contract, and then they sent his ass to Detroit.
Yeah.
I would be, if I were Blake, I would absolutely be salty to this day because he was the face of the franchise, and then you sent him to
He
Detroit.
just put Doc in a body bag there. I mean, that's pretty bad.
He did.
Yeah.
This is one of those games where I would love to have had him mic'd up because remember a lot of those shots he was knocking down in front of that Clippers bench.
Yeah.
You're telling me he just knocked down a shot and kept moving? Oh no. He had some words for Doc.
It's probably
He did.
Yeah.
But this was absolute revenge game. This is you did me wrong and I'm about to do you period kind of game. They had no and again, to Blake's credit, he recognized that he was being defended more times than not by Joel, who's not going to defend him. Right. You step behind that 3-point line. I mean, Joel Embiid treats that as if there's like a laser beam or something that's going to fry his ass if he steps outside the 3-point line to defend someone.
Yeah,
that's your safe zone against Joel. That's literally the place where he will not give you any trouble.
Right. But let's be fair. Let's be real.
The game plan too.
You want Blake Griffin shooting as many threes as possible. Like, that's a good game plan. It's not a bad game plan. No, in fact, I would say after the third make, I would let him shoot 10 more because the law of averages is he's going to miss the next 10.
Yeah.
I'm not adjusting to this guy making inordinate amount of threes. I would actually expect him to miss every single one after the first three. So it's funny to make fun of Doc, but Doc Rivers did not need to adjust his game plan to defend Blake Griffin on the perimeter. It's just not what he needed to do.
No,
a guy makes 3 shots in a row. A non-shooter makes 3 in a row from basically the same area.
Let him keep shooting.
I'm at least going to have my guy. You might want to get in his zip code on his next shot.
No, I want him to shoot more. That would be my plan. But I'm not a coach either.
That would be my plan. Done a Cornet contest or something to start the third quarter. I mean, you do it again.
They need a Cornet contest.
Oh gosh.
Or the lazy, the lazy defense. Something like.
Rob.
Coming into the second half,
the Rob.
He drains 2, sparks the offense again, all over again. Hey, we got to give credit to Blake, man. It was a heck of a game.
Yeah, I don't know what you do. You're scheming against Jason. Jalen's out there, and Blake.
You want him to shoot that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, what was he shooting from 3 coming into tonight?
32%, but I mean that's his career. 31%. His career's about a 32% 3-point shooter. That you want 32.3, 32% 3-point shooters taking threes. I mean that's better than anyone else on the floor taking shots. From anywhere really. So, it is what it is. But Blake gets his revenge. He makes all of his shots. He looks pretty good, and that's it. You eat it. The shots fell tonight.
Someone wrote, put him in a body bag. Where's that from? What movie is that from?
Karate Kid.
Yes, I love that line.
Put him in a body bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, put him in a body bag.
That line always stood out to me. Always.
I love that kid's face too. It always stands out to me. I'll tell you this: I saw Karate Kid in the theater back in the day.
Oh yeah,
and that's the one movie. When spoiler alert, if you don't know how it ended, too bad. When Johnny friggin' when he pulls off the crane kick, the entire friggin' place got up like it was a sporting event and started clapping. It was unfreaking believable. It was unreal. It was like a sporting event. It was so awesome.
Everybody's on their feet. Wow,
it was incredible. You don't get that, That was pretty fun. Anyway, great movie, great lines. Sweep the leg, man. You're right, though. Put him in the body bag sticks out more than sweep the leg for me, Josue. I remember that guy's face too.
The way he says it, right, with that smile, like, yeah,
put him in a body bag.
Yeah. This was an incredible win. I mean, this stacks right up there with the most impressive that I've covered from them. You were down 4 starters against one of the hottest teams in the league. A great defense, a team that's really hard to stop schematically. And I thought they just had the Sixers looking frazzled at points offensively. I mean, Harden got Cornet on the perimeter at one point, and for some reason just threw it away to Harrell. They tossed it out to Maxey, who just like tossed up this crazy jumper against Pritchard. Numerous moments throughout this one. They went small late against Embiid. Tatum, I think, guarding him at the point of attack. They get a switch on Pritchard, I think it was. They swarm him. They get him off the ball. He tries to get it back, and they just end up throwing it away. This was an incredible game, not to mention that set play out of timeout that got Cornet the basket was 0.5 on the shot clock. Just so much great stuff from this one. You got to give Joe some credit. Whatever impact he had preparation-wise going into this one, they did a phenomenal job. And they hold Philly to 99 without like your best defensive players, Al, Rob, Smart. This was just a mesmerizing win. Obviously, you get hot from three in this one, and that's a big part of it. But the defense was incredible. I thought after some early turnovers, they took care of the ball well, and Tatum was great passing. This was just great stuff. And now you've won 4 out of 5 after a little bit of a lull there. So you got to feel great about this one. And, of course, you moved to 2-0 against a team that was closing in on you a little bit.
Yep. Yep. Anything left over on this win? Because agree, Bobby, that's how we open the show. Honestly, I think it's possibly the best win of the year, given the circumstances, given the opponent. And then obviously when Jalen goes out as well, you're down 4 of your 5 regular starters, and Tatum is not having a good offensive game because Philly throwing a lot of bodies at him and taking him out of his rhythm. And you have to have everybody else step up and make contributions. And they did. Literally start to finish, and it really felt like if Tatum doesn't start to get it going in the fourth, Philly's going to come back and win this game, and it didn't happen. So amazing all-around win. I think possibly the win of the year. Go ahead.
From Jeff Stotts in Street Clothes, who's obviously one of those injury reporters, medical guys, said Jaylen Brown recovery from facial fractures often varies due to various factors, including the involved bones, displacement, size of the break, soft tissue, and possible eye damage. Surgery may be needed if damage is significant or bone is displaced.
Man.
When you're looking at in-season facial fractures, the average time lost for non-surgical cases is 4 games or 11 days, and that doubles if surgery is needed.
Yeah, you're looking at
Jalen's on the way.
You're looking at plastic. Here's the thing. You got the All-Star break coming up. He's probably out through it, but once you get through that, either option, you're looking at a surgical mask return for Brown, which is pretty good. But the problem with that is it really messes with you. You see a lot of players really struggle with that. Throws off their, just their whole.
He's
vibe.
a very he's very involved technically, right? He's a guy that could be.
That's not going to be easy to come off. So you'll get him back. What the hope is he can scrap that thing, hopefully, heading, as you're approaching the playoffs and get back to himself. But you're going to hit some lumps here with Brown, both missing time and then having to deal with kind of coping with that. So you hope for the lesser option, obviously, and you hope for anything that doesn't involve his eyes. But that's a tough break for him. Tough break.
Yeah, especially people are not going to care about him missing the All-Star game, but I just think where he was mentally and everything, it's just terrible timing. Sure, the break buys you some time there for him to come back, but like you said, it's going to take some time. It's going to be little by little for him to be.
Question is, is it easier to trade him for KD now, or is it harder?
The latter, and
too soon.
I guess this is a good segue.
Hey, Josue,
we are too soon.
Josue, we were talking to
the wound is still hurt.
Josue,
the wound is open still.
I don't think he's left the arena yet. Damn.
Go ahead, Bobby.
Josue and I were talking to a prominent member of the Celtics organization who was very much in favor of this. You want to spill the beans, Josue?
Yeah, Bobby.
You have no choice. You have no choice now. Someone spilled the damn
One Cedric Maxwell said, "Go get Kevin Durant."
You know who else said? You remember the beginning of the year, Scal was saying it, and then I think NBC was like, "You can't say that," he was like, "Absolutely, you get him. You get Jalen."
He's like, "I got my new contract. I can say this."
No disrespect, but are you kidding me? Are you get him out of there? So we know the trade deadline is tomorrow, naturally, and we're going to talk about that and some cool rumors, different things to wrap up the show. Last 15 minutes or so, we do want to quickly tell you about another one of our sponsors here. And again, stick around. We're going to have a little bit of trade chatter and update some of the stuff. Actually, it's even a couple different things have happened during the course of the night that might affect things. A couple of names that the Celtics were interested in, Vanderbilt being one of them, already being shipped. So again, teams are making moves. Also, what do injuries do for the Celtics in terms of their needs now, especially if Jaylen Brown's out for a little bit? Does that change things for you? But first off, tell you about Athletic Greens. Terrific. Bye, Bobby. Bye. Terrific supplement that we use on the Garden Report. Here, a sponsor has been with us since last year and hopefully throughout this year. Thanks a lot to your support. But check it out. Great supplement to aid you with your energy, recovery, mental clarity, focus, gut health, immune system, all sorts of things where you're probably chasing it with a bunch of different supplements. Check this one out. Do your own research. Google it. Look into it. See if it's for you. We all like it. We dig it. We've been taking it. I feel like it's improved me. I think other people will kind of say the same thing here. So check it out. Go to athleticgreens.com/garden for a free 1-year supply of vitamin D, 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Definitely worth giving it a shot. If you do that also and you support our sponsor and let us know about it, we will give you a free t-shirt here, a Garden Report Phenomenal t-shirt. We do want to talk about the trade deadline, which is tomorrow at 3:00. We are going to have a trade deadline special. It's going to start at 2 tomorrow, and we expect you to join us. Bobby Manning and I will be just kind of seeing what's happening, lay of the land, take us all the way to 3:00. And if anything happens, obviously, we'll talk about it on the fly. Anybody else here who wants to join in can, but they have busy lives, and I don't know if they necessarily will be able to, but that's okay. Guys, given the injuries surrounding the team right now, just how fragile the big guys are, and now with the Jaylen stuff, where's your mind at?
I think they're going to sit tight and wait for the buyout market and go get Nerlens Noel.
You don't feel different, like that they need more?
Oh, I think they could use more just for just the sake of having an insurance policy. But I think if they, and again, health is always a crapshoot when it comes to getting ready for the playoffs and having success in the playoffs. But I think they've got enough to get to the finals. Adding another piece would put them over the top, I think. It has to be the right piece, though. I look at a guy like Nerlens Noel. If you can get him on a buyout market, it would be perfect, because that would mean you didn't have to do anything to your current group and added someone who can give you something on that second unit that you could definitely use for 15 or so minutes a game.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if something like that happens. I mean, I just think the Celtics aren't out to make a big splash. I don't think that's their approach going into the deadline. I mean, they're going to find out what guys are worth, right? Whether it's Pritchard or maybe Grant, just to see what's out there. But I don't see them striking a significant deal. And if they do trade for someone, I mean, yeah, we talked about the secondary shot blocker, a rim protector. I don't know. Mo Bama's been thrown out there, especially today. I wouldn't hate that. I think that's something that could really help the Celtics. Just someone that just could really anchor, or not anchor, but just help buckle down defensively when the defense really starts to let up. And I think someone like Bamba would address that. I've always been the guy who's
Mo Bamba stinks, guys.
I mean, we're not talking about him as a backup guy right off the bench, though. Like, for that guy who could be a rim protector and give you some minutes.
I'll let Bobby. You like him over Cornet, honestly? What's he doing for you? He's a body, but is he doing it for you over Cornet?
I think so.
Who's this?
Bamba.
Yeah, I don't want him.
I mean, I think he could challenge Cornet. I don't know if he would be guaranteed he would take a spot, but like, this is what we're talking about.
He would not challenge
Cornet. I think you need to. At the end of last year, I felt that you needed guys who would slide in ahead of your bottom of the rotation players. So, like, possibly a guy who could take. I didn't say take all of Grant's minutes, but kind of maybe jump in there. Just guys who would kind of knock the guys they were using in the 7, 8, 9 spots down a little, which means whatever big you get has to at least slide in comfortably ahead of Cornet in terms of playing time or else it's not really worth getting. Like you're not giving up anything real. And right, buyout market, you're right, Josue. A body is a body is a body, but none of those guys are moving the needle necessarily. That's literally just a body, like dead insurance. Like, okay, you're a tall guy, go stand out there for a little bit. I guess you would play Bamba in a game like this, maybe in place of Blake Griffin. So yeah, it's an emergency situation, but I don't think they're playing meaningful minutes for you.
Yeah, but I mean, you make it sound like he's some bum for the Magic, man. Like Mo Bamba can not only come up with defensive stops, but he can also shoot threes at a better rate than Cornet, I think, right? He's around 40%. Not only that, but he's also a guy who's sort of looking for an opportunity to win. Look, I'm not saying this guy's going to be your starting center, but on a night like maybe not tonight, but other nights, especially tonight, I should say, two centers missing, or even if you have one center missing, I think you get some value there. Someone like Bamba. But that's just one example. I've always been a guy who's saying that the 3-and-D guy, a secondary wing defender. I've thrown out Crowder before. I mean, again, nothing's going to be a huge splash in the trade market, but I do think guys like that, quality guys like that, would make an impact on this team.
Would anybody? This is a name we've never mentioned. We hear Bamba, Pirtle, obviously. You've heard Naz Reid a ton. Vanderbilt's a guy being talked about a good bit. Just names that you're hearing. If James Wiseman shook free, is that someone you would think about? Because you've talked about Golden State being interested in a guy like Pritchard. And again, I'm not saying it's even up, but is that somebody who you could see might? You can. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know about him. You haven't seen enough from him.
You have not, but I like guys with high pedigrees, and I like the change of scenery sort of play. It's like a Belichick move, you get a first-round pick that busted somewhere else and see if you can do something with them.
I think a year or two ago where you're looking for second draft guys and reclamation projects would have been more fitting then. I don't think you take a flyer on a guy who has struggled to get on the floor and play in a system. And I know it's more offense that's impacting him in Golden State, though he hasn't been a great defender either. It's different here, but don't the Celtics play pretty much the same way the Warriors do, at least offensively? So I worry about that. A lot of the off-ball screening, a lot of the movement and spacing that he's struggled with in Golden State. And he's very expensive for a rookie. I think like 12, 13 million, right?
He's expensive.
Yeah. He's up there. That's why they're trying to sell him right now.
You looking for a shirt?
He's not playing. He's not playing.
This is why I don't like Bamba and Noel and Cousins and the Flyers on the free agent market. You're not sure not only that they can fit and contribute, but also that these guys will enjoy being here in the role they're in.
Right.
I know that's been a concern with Pirtle too, that he's looking for the payday. He's looking for the big role.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be your third big. Honestly, if you bring in Pirtle, you got to start playing Rob a little. You got to start playing Horford less.
Yeah, probably. And that's not the worst thing in the world. I still really favor that move because I think you have advantages trading with them. I think he brings a ton more to the table, and he brings something you're missing in terms of that scoring at the basket.
Yeah, he does. And one of the things,
I don't know how well he fits.
He might not with their offense. You're right, because it's not a guy who's going to shoot necessarily, Josue. So it's not a
get out to 10 feet.
Sure. So a couple updates tonight. Earlier today, I know Jake Fisher had put out that report, but I didn't put much stock in it because all it said was the money for this. The Celtics are looking to move out Gallo and Pritchard, and that money would match up to Pirtle, but it didn't connect the dots between the two. He also said that money would add up to Mo Bamba. So again, not to crap on the report, but it didn't actually link the Celtics to Pirtle. It just simply said these two things would match his salary. This was an update from Mark Stein over the past. The Spurs, and again, what team doesn't do this? Oh, we're not trading this guy. We're not trading this guy. And then you get closer and be like, we're trading this guy. So again, you're trying to drum up interest by making a guy seem untouchable and get those offers coming up with the hope that you can get a nice haul for it. Pirtle's going to get traded. Right now, it looked like Toronto was a favorite. It's the last I saw and a couple of reports out there, but it does look over the course of the past 24 hours, again, according to Mark Stein and a lot of other people who've been hitting Twitter with their thoughts and takes on this situation, that Pirtle's going to move. So then it just is a matter of what's your price? How much is too much here?
I'd say 2 additional firsts over what you already owe them. So I wouldn't give up 2 picks on top of the
You would do one
2028.
first?
I would do 1 first and then amend the 2028 you already owe them to just give it to them.
What about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Bobby. I can't imagine a scenario where you're giving up significant currency for a guy that, again, is not necessarily going to be a prominent 25, 30-minute a guy player for you. I just don't see you giving up much for that. So that's going to be the challenge for the Celtics is just having the ability to accurately price point what a player's worth is on a trade market. I think this year is really tough, particularly when you have a team built like theirs that has a lot of back boxes already checked off. You don't have a tremendous need for someone to come in and be a regular rotation player. It'd be nice if they did, but it's not necessarily something that you absolutely have to have.
Right.
You're not a fan of him, Josue.
I'm really not. Just not for this team. Like as a player, yeah, I think he's talented. I don't know how well he fits in, especially when you got 2 guys that are fighting for those minutes. You know, he has to split those with Williams and Horford. I do think Horford's. You got to be careful in a sense with his minutes, but I don't think it's one of those like, oh, you got to start cutting down his averages in minutes and trying to integrate Podol. I mean, I don't know. I'm not crazy about his fit with this team, but we'll see.
Okay,
It's expensive. It's a luxury. I
If
think
you
in
hadn't been
I think in a normal year you don't push and overextend yourself for something like this. But I just think this year is so important. I think they're so vulnerable if they lose an hour.
I know
Rob.
if you hadn't burned so many draft picks year over year over year,
that's another thing too. Yeah,
that's another problem. If you were just,
I don't care about the picks,
but you got to start caring.
Okay,
the
Max.
problem with the problem with this. The only
Max.
problem with this team now, and I think one of the things that people are not wrapping their heads around is this idea that a window is going to last 10 years. Windows only last a long time when you've got talent coming through the pipeline. It's not just dependent on a couple of stars. People get expensive. Some expensive people have to get moved out, and you got to have other options coming through that pipeline. You can't just pay $20 million for every player who's going to play meaningful minutes for you, and that's where the Celtics are right now. So those draft picks are freaking really valuable to have and to hit on, and you can't give them all away. So they've given a lot away. They have. It's a reality. To get off of contracts, to upgrade, to get Brogdon, to get White, they've done it already. Like they've kind of every time if someone looks at the Celtics as a trade deadlines, why didn't they make a trade? They've made all the trades. They've done it already. They did it. They did it before the year. They made their trade deadline trade in July when they got Brogdon, because they gave this year's first already. That's kind of it. Like you just can't give every future one away. You can for stars. You can't do it every time you need depth. It's insane. It's just bad business. I could really use some big man insurance. Just take whatever firsts I have left. You can't have no firsts going into the future. Like it's just not. You have to start replenishing your stores somewhere.
I know, but John, think about it like this. Let's say they don't do it, and we get to June, and Rob goes down, and it's Cornet and Blake, who I'm fans of, but in a playoff situation where the minutes are tighter and you're going against starters, you get there, and the big difference is just not having that big man depth. And we're going to sit there in June and be like, oh, great season, but they lost the finals again. Like that's what we're talking about
anyway,
here.
This is why I like a Wiseman type player. It's almost a redraft. You're going to get somebody else's recent first-round draft pick that didn't hit. I'm not saying it'll work out, but that's why I find that sort of stuff intriguing because, hey, if that does work out, now you've got something where you hadn't had your own homegrown talent that you haven't been able to develop that you might be able to turn this into something. That's the type of stuff I would rather see because, again, you've got to have eyes beyond this year. It can't always be sell out, and you can't just be trading first-round picks for luxury items when you've dealt so many already. You have to factor in the fact that you're really kind of screwed next few years without any picks at all. Well, if you keep trading them.
Wiseman's 9.6 this year, which is about Pirtle's salary. 12.1 next year. Already
Gallo,
exercised.
Pritchard in a second. Done. Give me Wiseman. I'll roll the dice there.
You think Golden State takes that? I guess they take Gallo. That's probably a good piece for them.
Yeah,
Just saying.
that's not a bad trade
Just
for them.
saying.
Could make some sense.
Anyway,
Do you
I'm
want
talking
to
about.
help out? Well, I guess they're helping you out. Do they want to help the Celtics out?
They don't give a crap. The chances that these two teams square off ever again this season is very small.
I know, especially after Curry just went down. What a development today. The Lakers going all in, and or I guess that was a couple of days ago in Curry's case, him going down for a significant amount of time there. This was so interesting. I almost couldn't watch the first half trying to put together the pieces of this trade. Unbelievable deal.
Well, I'm glad you were able to pull it together and do your job. I was so distracted.
Bobby was on the phone and everything, making phone calls. I was like, damn.
I was watching, you know what I was watching all day today? I was watching YouTube videos of people playing the Last of Us video game and seeing how it matches up with the show. That's what I was doing. Anyway, so yeah, quick thoughts on this trade.
Lakers.
Good trade for LA.
They're back.
I love it. I thought they needed to do that healed Turner trade over the summer. Just throw the two again. I don't care about picks. So if I'm the Lakers, I'm just like, all right, take these 2 picks. Let's get this done with, and let's get some rotation guys. But they waited and waited and waited through a awful start to the season. Bunch of Westbrook drama. Darvin Ham was here talking about how tough it was to move Russ to the bench. And then another apparent blow up last game on LeBron's record-breaking night. But you get away with just giving up 1 protected first-round pick that conveys to a second if it's protected, and you get Vanderbilt, who I love as a throw-in. Not to mention Beasley, who can shoot 8 threes a game at a high percentage. D'Angelo Russell. I don't love him. I don't think he's much better than Westbrook.
Doesn't seem like a body guy.
But he's better than Westbrook. So you needed to save this season if you're the Lakers. Danny comes away with a premium pick again. I'm blown away by the job he's doing in Utah. Just incredible. I don't get it as much from Minnesota, but can you rule out a Lakers-Celtics finals now?
180 Bobby.
Can you rule it out?
I love. I don't know, man.
That was my first thought.
That's
I
wild.
love that.
You know what I love? I love how enthusiastic you get. You just jump on stuff, you know, are the Lakers going to the finals? I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know.
This could be re-energizing for them.
It could, but I mean, they got a lot of.
That's a lot of energy, though, for them to go.
Kyrie looked good tonight too, by the way.
Of course,
they're in the playoff picture for sure. Let's say that. That wasn't a certainty before this trade, right, guys? I mean,
yeah, no, they weren't.
They're in the playoffs. They're in the playoffs. Yeah. But yeah, look, you get a couple pieces. You address the defensive end. You got guys that can knock down shots. I mean, say what you want about Russell. He will knock down shots for you. I mean, that's
probably getting killed in the comments, right?
No, you're fine. People love you.
So they got some balance there. They got some balance.
Bobby, you can do no wrong. Yeah.
So, yeah, I like it.
Yeah. So, anyway, it is tomorrow.
I talked to Grant, by the way, tonight. Got a pretty boilerplate answer from him on the deadline. Blake talked about the deadline as well, being that he's a friend of Pritchard. Said he thinks he speaks for the entire team when he says he wants Peyton to be here. He acknowledges his desire to go, try to show more and do more, and he thinks that he's capable of a lot more, and he's not sure everyone around the league that totally knows that. But he said they've expressed as a team that they want Pritchard here. Grant, like I said, more boilerplate, out of his control. He wants to be here. He thinks they have a great group that really meshes together, and he's just not thinking about it.
Yeah, obviously, they'll support each other, I'm sure. And there's always something to be said for like we can win with the guys in the slot. You have 2 sets of mentalities at the trade deadline, right? You have teams that are like kind of like looking at ownership like, you're going to do something, right? Because we really need something. And, they're not going to say who they want to go, but they're like, just do something. And then you have other teams that are like, we're good. We're good in this room. I'm sure the Celtics are a bit mixed there. Like, I'm sure they like their players, but they would understand if a move was made that would. That
Pritchard talked to the Globe again today, and
yeah,
again, more like, I know what I can provide. I want to play more, and sounds like he's ready.
Everybody does. I don't know that he gets traded and plays a ton, but yeah, I'm sure there's more opportunity than there is here. He's buried on a depth chart, and when he's not getting good minutes, even on a night like this, when there's a lot of people down with injuries, the writing's on the wall. Like, there's just not, and then going forward, you have 3 guys under contract for 2 and 3 more years who are playing ahead of you. It's never going anywhere for him. So whether he goes at the deadline or goes in the offseason, I think he goes at some point.
I feel like he constantly needs a guard, one of his teammates, to just have an awful shooting night. And like, that's how he gets more playing time. And that's just not. That's not what he wants, obviously, and I think that's his way of just voicing his opinion, saying that, look, I wouldn't mind a change of scenery if that was the case. Also, if I don't get traded, I'll give this team all I got. But hey, remember, I don't mind getting traded. Like, I feel like he's been reminding us through different avenues the last few weeks.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Where's Westbrook go, Sherrod?
That's a great question. To be candid with you, would not be surprised to see him not go anywhere.
I saw Chicago as a possibility.
No, I'm thinking he stays. I think he's going back to Cali.
Utah?
Right? Clippers.
Oh, in LA.
Yeah.
Clippers.
I don't know. You're going to do that with Wall?
Chicago would make more sense if Chicago believes that they can make a push.
Can I talk myself into Westbrook? I can talk myself into Westbrook.
I asked Josue. I can't. What do you think? He goes,
if I'm Miami, I'm calling. I'm sorry. I'm calling because
it makes sense.
Extra offensive scoring power. I mean, all the Depots had a good season, but you can always use some more. I mean, just to make a splash.
John, you're not going to talk yourself into it.
No, you can't, John.
I don't like, me, I'm not a Russell Westbrook guy at all.
Yeah.
But
I'm not doing that.
Russell Westbrook, the problem with Russell Westbrook,
he can't accept a role.
He's not at the point in his life of he's accepting a role. He wants to go somewhere and be the man. And I just obviously not going to happen here. But could I talk myself into a guy to kind of, I know he's a guard, but to play kind of like that small wingish sort of like, backfill to Tatum and Brown and be out there? Could I talk myself into that? Maybe,
Yeah.
But no.
I can't.
That's a good place to wrap it.
I can't.
I don't know. I like the energy. I like the effort. One thing I like about Russ is he does bring it. You know, but
John,
the last second in his last
he used to be one of my favorite players to watch.
He brings bad shot selection. He brings bad shot taking. He brings a lot of things to the table.
Defense, ugly.
That is.
And he gets so much crap. We probably.
Something might work. I don't know. I'm trying to give me I'll have it by tomorrow.
Give me a minute.
Check it out on CLNSmedia.com. John's column.
My column. Why I've changed my tune on Russell Westbrook. Anyway, we're gonna wrap. We do want to remind you again. Trade deadline special 2:00 tomorrow. Should there be any news prior to that, we will jump on and do a live show right away, reacting to whatever news we get, and we'll still probably jump on right before the deadline. If there's major breaking news involving Celtics earlier today, we'll probably do that. Jump on for the deadline, maybe closer to 2:30 or so, and take you through the deadline, any and all moves, particularly even if the Celtics don't make any moves that affect their competition, and there will be some, and you're still waiting to see what the hell Toronto does. And they did say they're going to hold it till Thursday. There could be some seismic shit that goes on if Toronto starts making moves, because they really are a player there to see where it goes. Was that a lullaby?
That was Josue's alarm to go to bed.
A quick story. One night I was after
I did not need to hear that. I did not need to hear that.
All right, my phone went off one time. Bobby was like, "What was that?" And I was
good night.
Look, sometimes we need a little reminder when it's time to go to bed. You know, this is.
Are we gonna have a glass of warm milk before we go to bed, Josue?
It's not a lullaby. It's like a notification just letting you know, hey, it's almost time for lights out. It's almost time for lights out.
Hey, you know what? I'm all for it. Let's go to bed.
Right, Josue, do you need a bedtime story?
I got to put the Celtics schedule into this so they know. But yeah, it's just a little reminder.
Yeah, and then Luke Cornet came into the game.
He's a prancer. He's a dancer. He's like a comet. He's bigger than Vixen.
Yes. Oh my God, that was
Bobby
awesome.
lost it because
Anyway,
he knew exactly what that was. He's heard that before.
when that alarm goes off, we know we're done. So we are going to wrap it again. Please check out the trade deadline special tomorrow. Subscribe. Turn on notifications so you don't forget. Subscribe to All Access. Subscribe to our CLNS media page. You can catch us live on either of those. This will allow you to set reminders when we are going to go live, and we'll be here breaking it all down. It's always a fun day. Everyone's disappointed when something doesn't happen, but in this case, you can always take solace in the fact that the Celtics are the best team in the NBA record-wise and still make a move or don't make a move. Most likely they're going to emerge from this deadline as favorites to get back to the finals. And that's going to be the case most of the year. So definitely watch out for the Jaylen Brown news. We'll see what happens there. If that develops, we get more stuff. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Any and all trade stuff. Again, thank you to Josue and Sherrod and Bobby for hanging out. Thank you guys for listening and hanging out with us as well. We apologize about the chat situation. We would have loved to include some of the stuff you guys are talking about. I've been flipping back and forth to our YouTube page where I could follow it and did see that it was very active. And obviously, a lot of people have a lot of opinions about what the Celtics should do in and around the trade deadline. So we'll share some of those again tomorrow right here on CLNS Media. Thanks for watching and good night. And Josue.
Everyone go to bed. Don't go to sleep.